Hey there everyone, and how are you doing? Today we're going to talk about the Saints Row reboot. I've been meaning to get back onto this whole topic as I kind of left the reboot alone for a little while. I think a much needed update on my opinions on the reboot is well needed, here we go. So, the Saints Row reboot, how does AJ actually feel about it currently? I'd say I'm feeling pretty good about it overall. The game at least, I'm feeling quite hyped for it. I don't think I've lost any sort of hype leading up. I think everything we've seen so far looks pretty damn decent, and obviously with them showing off more customization in small parts, kind of recently with the International Women's Day characters being shown on screen, so you know how they got a lot of the volition workers to show off their female bosses. I got a bit of an insight into the character customization. Obviously, it wasn't the hugest insight, but it was something, and I've got to say, it looked pretty good all around. It was nice. You know, I like to think that from what I've seen, they're going to give us a decent amount of options. I mean, one thing I noticed was there was like crazy coloured eyes. One person had like bright pink eyes. And that sort of like unrealistic tone is actually good for character customization, I feel. Because I feel like it's going to give us the option to be kind of normal if you want to have like a more grounded Saints Row experience. But if you want to go crazy, we're going to be able to go crazy. And I think we saw that with the animated skin tones that they showed off before. Either way, so far from what I've seen, I'm pretty hyped. I think that the gangs don't look too bad all around. I mean, the Idols are definitely my favourite, and then followed by Marshall, then followed by Los Panteros. The reason I don't like Los Panteros as much as the others is they look a little generic, I feel. I feel like they are just there for the sake of, guys, look, this kind of looks like Saints Row 2, you know what I mean? And I don't know if anyone else really agrees with me, but they look very much Brotherhood, and I think that that's a good thing for a lot of the older fans, and I think it's a good thing as a whole. I don't hate the gang, but I've got a feeling that when we get to fighting them, it may be a very similar experience to what we've had before. But you know that's a very small issue because those experiences we did have before I enjoyed, so it's not a problem that it's going to be a similar and equally fun experience at all. Um, and I know that there is a countdown currently going on for Volition, where they're counting down the days till some sort of thing. I imagine it's going to be like a tech demo or something, maybe. Maybe even a customization show off, which would be fucking amazing. But I want to kind of just talk about what we really need to see for me to be fully happy with the game. So right now I'm pretty happy overall, but there's a lot of uncertainties and a lot of unknowns that obviously we'll find out in time. So these aren't really worries, these are just things I'm kind of interested and looking forward to seeing. So obviously character customization, we've seen a little of it, but I'd kind of want to go a bit more in depth with it. I want to kind of see what it actually is. I want to know the full extent of it and just see how it's looking. And you know, when we finally get to see that, I think that'll be very good for just everyone who's looking forward to the game. As I feel it's something people kind of put a lot of like weight on, and people kind of they know it's important to be able to make the character how they want. So I think when we see that, it'll just be pretty good. Next up, I think that we could do some more story information, if I'm being completely honest. The story is arguably the scariest part leading up to its release. I think a lot of people are kind of worried that this story is not going to be grounded, it's not going to be serious, and it's not going to be what they want. I don't think I'm worried for it because I enjoyed everything Saints Row has put out before, both old and new, so either direction it takes, I'm going to be pretty happy. But I know a lot of people are worried, so let's hope that they can show off some story teasers maybe and kind of get us all on board with what the story's going to take. But so far it seems to be a very simple story of like you form a gang and try and beat out all the other gangs in the Santa Elisa, which isn't the worst idea in the world, if I'm being honest. I want to know the extent of things like wildlife as well, and all these small little details that they're going to be adding with the new Saints Row. So, if you didn't know, the Saints Row is going to have wildlife. I want to know the amount of wildlife we're going to be having. I heard from someone, I forgot who, that it's going to be more than GTA 5, but less than Red Dead Redemption 2 by comparison, which I think is a pretty healthy amount, especially with there being a desert out there. I don't want it to be completely wilderness and tons of animals everywhere, but at the same time, I don't want it to be really scarce like GTA 5. So, I'm quite happy with the amount that it sounds like we're going to be getting, which all around is pretty good, of course. But yeah, I'm not really too worried about these things, if I'm being honest. Like, at least for me personally, and I can only speak from my perspective, and this isn't me just trying to have some bias to Saints Row. This is 100% my own thoughts. I've seen nothing to put me off and nothing to turn me away, besides maybe the characters a tiny, tiny bit. But even that, I've kind of just got over at this point, and I'm not that bothered by them. I don't think they look that bad, if I'm being honest. I did at the start because it was a shock, but realistically, I kind of just got over it, and I don't care too much. So right now, I'm feeling pretty comfortable with the reboot. I think that right now, I think that when this reboot comes out, it's going to shock a lot of people for how good it is. I think, at least from what I've seen, I think that with a bit of polish and a bit of, sprucing up and getting some of the maybe older fans on board with some trailers or something, I think that Saints Row really could build a brand new and thriving community from this game. And obviously, we just have to see how the game turns out. And I have hope for it. I'm not sitting here trashing it. I genuinely think it'll be good. So, I'm putting my own neck on the line here. I'm risking my own hype by saying it's going to be good. If I sit here and think it's bad and it turns out to be good, then nothing lost. But if I sit here thinking it's good, it turns out to be bad, then I'm going to be losing everything. You know what I mean? So it's going to be like, I'm trying to set my expectations reasonably, but I'm genuinely quite excited for it. I think it looks good. So I've kind of got to set my expectations there. But overall, so far with Saints Row, I think it just looks pretty decent. I think it's going to be a pretty fun game. I think it's going to be quite good. And for all the new things they're adding, I think that a lot of the Saints Row community, when it comes out, will be at ease and be quite happy with the new release. Whether I'll be right with that or not, who knows. But that's my honest to God thoughts. So far, AJ thinks the reboot looks pretty good, for everyone wondering. I think the reboot right now is looking good. I think it's at a comfortable place. And I think that the people that aren't interested in the reboot may just never be interested in it, if I'm being honest. I know a lot of people still haven't got over that initial CGI, and they're just sitting there and constantly calling it woke and all these stupid words that are trying to garner attention. Like, I get that there are a lot of people angry about this, but as someone who was equally as shocked when that CGI dropped, it confuses me how people haven't, come around and give it a second chance. And maybe that's what it's about. Maybe I'm just a bit more lenient and I was willing to change my expectations, and some people aren't. And that's no fault of their own. That's just how the world is. You know what I mean? But either way, I like how the reboot's looking. I think it's going to be fun. I think it's going to be good. And that is my current and updated thoughts on the reboot, as, that initial release date comes closer and closer every day going by. I mean, we're already in April. We're not far off that August release date. And I'm nervous with anticipation. I'm really looking forward to it, but there's definitely a bit of nervous tension there, because I just want it to be good. And it's not even for my sake that I want it to be good, because if I have a game and I think it's bad, I'll be like, oh, that sucks, and move on. But I think the community needs a good game. And regardless of what you think of the reboot, and whether you think it's going to be that, you should all be hoping that this game is good. You should not be preying on this game's downfall because you don't like the way it looks. You want this game to surpass your expectations, obviously. So, let's hope it can do that, and let's hope that, I hope that when the game comes out, I can say the entire community, well, not the entire community, but, a portion of the community was wrong. I can't wait to make a video being like, hey, if you didn't like this game and you thought it was going to be awful, I'm sorry, but you were wrong. It's pretty good. Let's hope I can make that video and I don't have to make the flip side of that video, eh? Anyway, that's my updated thoughts on the reboot. That's kind of how I'm feeling right now with Saints Row as a whole. And thank you for listening. I'll catch you in the next one, guys, and peace out.